There it is, finally.
Good morning, Monday.
Yeah, that's right.
Well, 2023 Monday.
Is it 2023?
Why?
Wow. I don't know, because that's what comes after 2022.
What?
And next year will be 2024.
How was your New Year?
Quiet.
Yeah?
Yeah, didn't do much.
No.
After having that Christmas Eve saying we didn't need to do much on New Year's Eve.
That's true. My neighbors walked over yesterday and...
Are you talking the day or the night before Christmas Eve night?
New Year's Eve.
Well,
they walked over yesterday.
Sunday.
I said, man, it was quiet in the neighborhood. I mean, they said, what? I said, well, I think I made it to 10. And, the day before we drove 19 and a half hours back from Colorado. And how do you say in my country? I was a little tired, but I thought, let's stay up late. That maybe I'll sleep really well. I guess I slept right through all the fireworks and the gunshots and stuff like that.
Oh, really?
So,
yeah, it was raining so much that we were like, there's not going to be a ton of fireworks. And there wasn't a ton, but I could hear it. Dogs didn't really care about it. And my wife was asleep.
Yeah.
But that was after midnight. We made it to midnight. So,
well, thank God I've got one of those dogs that when fireworks goes off, he looks like this. He goes,
those damn people.
Oh.
No, that's what I say. He's like, those damn people.
Something woke me.
Oh. Yeah, ours aren't bad. We had a German Shepherd who would freak out, but not these two.
Yeah.
George is like, it's not even close. What am I worried about?
What's going on in interest rate land?
Nothing. Because today, Monday, markets are closed. This is the news coming up this week. All right. So Tuesday, we're going to have no news also. And then Wednesday is mortgage applications, Fed minutes. Thursday is about job cuts, ADP claims. And the most important is Friday.
That's what I was going to ask. Yeah, when does that come out? That's Friday.
Yeah. And so if that is in, worse than estimate, we're going to see a rally in the bond market. We've kind of had a problem recently in the bond market because of this.
Yeah.
I talked about it, I think, on Friday. It was hit pretty hard because of that Senate bill. It's that whole thing we're talking about where
the trillion spending plan.
Yeah, when you have a Fed trying to tighten to shear up the, that, but you have a governor that keeps spending, it's not going to stop.
Right.
It's going to get worse. And this is ridiculous. We didn't really need this. And if you look at some of the stuff in it, it is just ridiculous.
Well, the flack inside of it. Yeah. Just 4,300 pages or 4,800 pages, right?
Yeah, it takes 30 days to read it.
Yeah.
But sign it. We'll figure it out.
Trust us.
Well, the problem is we're not getting political about which party did it or whatever, because there was Republicans in it just as Democrats. Exactly. The issue is we don't need to keep spending money. We just need to cut the budget, cut this. We're wasting so much money that is causing the markets to mess up, and it's messing up the real estate and mortgage market.
Yeah.
And it's because of this government spending. That's all I'm saying. If they were working with the Fed at the same time together, we'll cut our spending. We'll do this. We would get through this, but they don't want to. They want to spend as much as they can before they lose power. And that's typically of any person in charge, right? Except for the last administration who cut taxes and other stuff. I'm not saying they're perfect. But I was on the radio on Friday, 5 to 6.
Yeah.
And I was talking about the Twitter dump that just happened last week about the COVID stuff. If you realize what the governments have done controlling our information, and I'm not trying to get conspiracy theory here, but it's amazing if you just from Twitter, what you see, and that's the tip of the iceberg that we know about. And if you know anything about icebergs, much bigger underneath the water.
What?
Yeah. So it's pretty amazing how much I thought was going on, and it's more than I thought. So.
Yeah, it was interesting listening to a little bit of Elon Musk when he said, all the conspiracy theories about Twitter, he said, are basically true.
Well, it's true about all of them, because I was talking about how everybody was at these meetings. The different administration was Trump's administration was, how do we stop the run on stores? How do we stop this kind of bad information?
Right.
The other administration gets in and they were like, how do we cancel the anti-vaxxers? How do we stop them being able to put information out? So it became personal.
Right.
And that is the problem.
Right.
If you're trying to control it, so everybody, the wrong stuff, but when you're trying to control certain people and take them down. And it was so bad that doctors from Harvard and Johns Hopkins who knew, but were saying things differently than what the administration wanted, were shut down. And come to find out some of the stuff they were saying came out to be true.
Saw a
Shocking.
thing. It was it was 80 doctors in their 30s to 50s have passed away in Canada as a result of they're tying it together with they've had their 4th and 5th booster shots to the vaccine, and they're just keeling over suddenly. So it's kind of interesting to see that.
Right. Well, I it's your choice. It finally came out that natural immunity is just as important as other stuff.
Right.
But
that force us to take something.
But let's get back to real estate. This whole thing that we're talking about, yes, we talked a little bit about government, got a little crazy, but that all controls what's going on the local market.
Right.
If you don't have, what's the word I'm looking for, strength or whatever in the market or the government and what's going on, you're not going to buy. You're nervous. Right. You're not going to do certain things.
Yeah, you're skittish.
Yeah. So we need to get past that. It's a new year. We need to move on, and you need to get out and vote every time there's a chance.
And guess what a new year brings?
New challenges.
New real estate laws.
Oh, we got new real estate laws?
We had new real estate laws. We got a bunch of new real estate laws.
Let's talk about our government then more.
Yeah. So there's a few that are kind of interesting. One I think will help. Most of these laws are created to try to help bring in more housing.
Okay.
In a way that's not just building new property. So there's a new homeowners association owner's right to rent a portion of their unit. So HOAs did not like having people Airbnb a room, or what's the other one? It doesn't matter. The
condo
vacation rental by owner, the
VRBO.
So there's a new law banning HOAs from not allowing owners to sublet or to rent out a room. So that's kind of cool. It's your property. I know you're in an HOA, but it's your property. And if you want to rent out a room, you should be able to rent out a room, period. Right. End of conversation.
But don't leave your garage door open.
Don't leave the garage door open. Don't park in front.
And don't put your truck up on blocks.
Well, yeah, if you put it up on blocks, make sure that you have one of those Alabama flags or something, Confederate flag.
Yeah, you don't want that these days. That's a bad thing.
Anyway, I jest. The other is kind of interesting. The law creates a California equivalent to the federal First Look program for foreclosed properties. So the first 30 days of a property that is foreclosed on by a financial institution can only offer that foreclosed property to individuals who are going to create home ownership, who are going to move into the property. They're no longer going to be able to bundle them and sell more than 2 properties in a bundle or more and offer them to investors. And they can no longer have just an investor come in and buy it on the courthouse steps right off the bat. It's got to be a home owner. So you
can't do that at the courthouse steps anymore.
Right.
If there's a lien on it.
If there's a lien on it.
If there's no lien on it, then why is it being foreclosed in the first place?
I'll go in deeper to this.
Tax sale, maybe.
Yeah.
There you go.
So
no, that's good, because what people don't realize is they would take hundreds of these and sell them to REITs.
Right.
And then all of a sudden they would go through and flip them and sell them and do all this other stuff.
Right. They would eventually hit home ownership, but it took longer than what our government is wanting to happen, as far as we need more housing.
Mm-hmm. Well, let's get rid of some of the other laws, like got to have solar,
right?
Got to have sprinklers in it, because that way everything inside's wet and it's still burned on the outside.
Some of the environmental impact stuff.
Just get rid of some of these reports that are not needed. If there's other homes already there, there's stuff you can do. It's just ridiculous. California's the worst.
Yeah. So that's kind of interesting. There's a bunch of laws that really, I don't think it's going to make much difference at all.
Like what?
Middle Class Housing Act of 2022, which establishes housing as an allowable use on any parcel zoned for office or retail uses. So that's kind of interesting. We've been talking about this for a long time, about converting. How many empty Save Mart buildings are there around town?
I don't know how many.
There's at least 4 that I can think of.
Yeah, but they're all in a complex.
That's what this is talking about. So,
I know, but it's kind of hard to turn those into little houses.
Well, you can turn it into a little village. They're saying the Middle Class Housing Act deems a housing development project allowable use on the parcel as long as it makes sense. Basically, I'm going to paraphrase, and they're not going to be subject to some of the ADA laws.
good because some of those ADA laws are
right.
Yeah, I understand helping but some of those are just, I'm glad that one guy went around suing everybody for nothing, for just fun of it. Finally got his own from not paying taxes on all that money.
So this is about developing a single family home. Not the conversion of the Save Mart buildings yet, but it's a step in the right direction. I think.
So like the Long's Drugs has been there forever.
The U-Haul,
yeah, well,
non-U-Haul,
yeah, because it was red tagged.
Right.
They had to move out of it,
right.
So something like that could be converted into condos, or you could add more and go up.
Yeah, in that case, I think you would just take that and just level it. That building is so old, it would take so much. I mean, they red tagged it.
What they need to do is I wonder if that property is with the other property. Those other buildings, are they connected?
Probably. Well,
I'm talking
I
about
bet
Wells
the person
Fargo
who owns the land. Yeah, exactly.
Because that would be a good conversion, that whole thing into something else,
like
an office building or something.
The
problem is there's not enough places to park there, no matter what you do.
No, well, once you restructure that parcel, how many acres is that parcel?
I don't know.
It's
Can't
probably
be that much.
It's got to be at least 2 to 3.
I wouldn't go that much.
Anyway, if you want to find out more about the new real estate laws that have gone into effect for 2023, just go to car.org. I don't think you have to sign in to do it. And if you don't, go to DuckDuckGo and just research it. Just say new real estate laws.
Or reach out to Mike and
reach out to me.
He'll send you a PDF on it.
Yep.
Absolutely. Why don't we do that? Just reach out to Mike, and that way you can.
Oh, I like that. 209-968-5633. That's 209-968-5633.
Or just email him.
Yeah.
What's your email?
MKELLY at
mkelly at
mycvre.com.
There you go.
mycvre.com.
Yeah.
Anyway, interesting stuff.
Yeah, I mean, that's every year there's a ton of laws, new gun laws, new other laws.
Yep.
And sometimes we should get rid of some of the old. If we're not going to enforce the old, why do we get new? That's
sometimes the new are overriding some of the other laws that were in effect. Just like that the propositions that'll happen. So Proposition 19 overwrote 60 and 90. So now Proposition 19 is the only one you use to be able to move your tax bases.
Right. And the problem with that is it depends on what you sell your house for and what you buy the next one for. It's a huge difference. And with these eminent domain going on around town, they're selling, they're getting $365 for their property, but they're buying a property for $800 because they're getting the difference. Well, now they're going to have a $500,000 difference in taxes added.
Yeah.
And if you could just get, no, your value's this. And that's the problem I was having with some of the stuff I was involved with. Is like, okay, well, appraisals came in at 540 and 625. Let's just move it up to that. And then you can give them the difference up to the max you're going to give them anyway. That way their tax base is so much lower.
Right.
Because a lot of people don't understand Prop 19 you're just talking about. Let me go through real quick so people know. Basically, so if you're selling a home for $700,000 and you're buying a house for $1 million, the difference between the two of that is what you get added to your tax base of $300,000, what your tax base was originally.
Right. Or whatever it was originally.
Right. Because most people are selling that they've had for a while.
Yeah.
And they're trying to, buy something else.
Well, it's trying to get people who were, the older couples that were tax locked to their huge residence. Let's say their huge residence is 2,800 square feet on a half acre lot that they don't want to take care of, but they can't afford to sell it because they've got the cash to be able to purchase the next property, but they don't have the monthly income to take care of the new property taxes. So that's what this is basically developed for.
Reverse mortgage.
Yeah. Well, that's another way to do it.
It's because a lot of people are like, well, I want to sell my property and keep straight across, but I want this much more in it. Well, just get your cash, put 50% to 60% down and keep the rest.
Right.
Now, because your family doesn't really want your new place. They wanted the old one you're selling.
They really did, because it's nice.
Right. It's got more acre.
It's got a pool.
Yeah. So, do the reverse mortgage on something like that, because then you can live off the other 40% of your cash for the rest of your life. You don't have to dig into your retirement or anything else. It's a great program, especially for purchase. And a lot of people don't utilize it because well, I don't own my property. Yes, you do. The difference is you're adding the principal on the interest onto the loan every month. You're not paying principal anymore. You're just adding the interest on. So over time, yes, your house might be worth less than what you owe on it, But what we know is in the next 20 years it's going to take to get caught up on homes. And then after that, in a couple more years, we're going to have the baby boomers new boom, which is the one from the pandemic. So it's pandemic boomers, I guess you call it, right? Because they're boomers, they're bigger than the baby boomer generation, and that's going to come and hit us hard then. So,
and we don't have housing,
right? So no other time in history is it better to do a reverse mortgage for purchase than now, because you're going to keep most of your cash and be able to live there for the rest of your life and not worry about.
Yeah, and what's the other part about the reverse mortgage? You die. And your kids sell the estate and pay off the reverse mortgage, right?
Correct. And they don't have to, or they can just go, we don't want this house, and it goes back to the bank if it's over encumbered. They don't have to do anything.
I hate that way of fixing things. But
no, what I'm getting at, but sometimes during 2008, 2009, that 10 area where the reverse mortgages came due because someone passed away,
right?
And the house was only worth $500, but they owed $700 on it. You don't have to do anything with it at that point,
right?
You have up to a year to do something.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
That's kind of
a lot of places say 6 months, but you would really technically have up a year.
Yeah.
Did you just get shorter there?
Yeah, I was just, I like playing. Sometimes I get a squirrel. Oh, look, there's something shiny over there.
Yeah, there you go. All right. So that's important. I mean, there's so much you can do now with purchasing, with, selling your old house and buying the new house. The tax difference goes up, doesn't change, those kind of things. There's so much you can do. So reach out. Don't not do it just because where we're at with stuff right now. There's so many investors in the market buying. I'm part of a bunch of groups that I know about, and their focus is on 1,500 doors this year.
Yeah,
they just keep on buying, and they're like, this is the best market. Please, first-time home buyers, other people, don't come and buy, because I don't want the competition. And that's what we're trying to explain. If their investors are buying up everything they can get their hands on, there's something going on that you don't know about.
Right?
You're too worried. I might pay too much money for this house.
You might have a higher monthly payment for a little while, but remember what we keep saying: marry the price, date the rate.
Say it slower.
I did. I said rate.
Because that is really could come off with a different word there.
Or have a short-term relationship with the rate.
Yeah. Stop worrying. If you can afford the payment right now, great. We will get cheaper down the road. Just most people who went to buy houses in the past, besides the pandemic, were like, okay, well, I got to get used to this payment of $500 more a month on my rent, right?
Right.
Only during the pandemic where they were like, oh, I can save money by buying.
Right.
Well, the rates were so low. We were in a pandemic where people didn't know if they ever going to go back to work or if we were going to survive.
Right.
It was something totally different. We're not going to be back to that ever. I can't say ever, but we're not that I know.
Well, hopefully ever.
Right. Well, I'm just saying rates that low. So be comfortable, because everyone's like, rates are so bad. No, they're not. If you look historically, we're right at historically the lowest we've had in 50 years.
Yeah.
It's not pandemic low. That's not coming back.
Remember the look on yours and my face in Rotary when that young new loan officer got up and spoke a little bit and said, well, the market's so bad. We're just like, wait a minute.
There's just, I used to be a salesman. What was that from? Gary Glenn Ross. Man.
Oh, God, I haven't seen it forever.
The first 10 minutes of the movie.
Yeah.
Sit down. That coffee's for closers.
I'm going to have to watch that again. That'd be a good one.
Yeah. This watch costs more than your car. That's my name. That's a great movie, man.
It is a great movie.
The first 10 minutes, all you got to watch. That's the environment I grew up in sales when in this business.
Yeah.
So,
Closers.
And I was just thinking the other day, we have not been salespeople for a very long time. And now we're becoming to be them again.
And are we?
What I'm saying is, for loan officers, you now have to talk to people and explain to them and actually go through the process instead of, oh, you want to buy? Okay. Oh, you ready? Okay. Here you go. That's how it's been for a lot. It's low-lying fruit, so easy to do. Now
you're
it's actually
more of a facilitator than you have been in a long time.
Right now, it's like you're
explaining things.
Yeah, and you're more an educator is what we are about, and that's all sales is educating people, getting them to know KNOW, which is knowledge needed to overcome waiting.
Wow. You just blew my mind.
I came up with that about a year ago.
Did you? Did you write it down, or did you just remember it?
No, I have.
Is it in your book?
I have. No, that's a different thing. That's the other thing I'm doing, which is getting to know.
Can you tell me Say it one more time.
Sure.
Slower.
Knowledge needed to overcome waiting.
Were you like in bed, couldn't sleep, insomniac?
No, I had to do a speech at a speakeasy that Steve Sims put on, and it wasn't my best talk because I hadn't been on stage in so long. And I needed something to talk about in sales because we're not going to talk what we talk all day long about. It's something totally different.
Yeah.
And I always hated the fact when people said people don't buy because they just don't know. KNOW. I always hated. I don't know if you remember that. That's what they would always say.
I don't.
In sales, when I was in there, people don't buy because they just don't know.
No.
And I was like, okay, what does that really mean?
Knowledge needed to overcome.
You need them to overcome waiting. Yeah.
It's so cool that we can always slip that little 2 in there, and it doesn't become KNTOW. Connect.
Well, yeah, I didn't say it was perfect. I said it works.
No,
right?
I know.
Yeah.
No, I love it.
That's like so I'm starting another thing like this. It's called ACES 53. And basically what it is ACES stand for in sales, attitude, commitment, enthusiasm, and smile, right? Which is what we do. You're supposed to be smiling across here and when on radio and everything.
Yeah.
But then when I was in college, when I took a sales class, the guy was like, okay, remember ACES and a joker. And so the joker is what you bring to the table that's different than everybody else. Okay. Then because you all need to have attitude, which means get up, move up, enthusiasm. So you really get going. It's not just the knowledge, right? Commitment. That's your commitment to your skill and what people about your industry, and enthusiasm. All those things.
Right.
The smile is important because people can hear it over the phone or wherever else or on radio.
You really can't.
Yeah. So, and the joker is, like I said, is what you bring to the table, and this guy Brian Galkey, remember him? We're going to focus on the joker side of it, and then also teach the other stuff, but really focus on the joker, what extra stuff you can bring, whether it is face reading, understand people's faces, voice and inflections and tones, that kind of stuff, body language, certain things you need in sales that is not really taught anymore. And again, we've been order takers in a lot of industries for a very long time, and they haven't really focused on it. And that's what we're going to focus on a couple times a week on lives. So,
yeah. Fog the mirror realtors.
Well, that's just
for a couple.
Think about it. If you go out on a listing appointment, how do you get that listing appointment more than somebody else than just going, I can get your most money for your house because I did it 2 down from you.
Yeah, exactly.
For a while there, I'm sorry, but it's that old statement where a monkey can throw a dart at a board and do better than a lot of the brokers out there and stuff in the past.
Blind squirrel gets a nut every now and
then.
And
that's, those 2 years, you had listed a property for whatever, and people gave you whatever you wanted. Right now is the time where
sometimes more than you wanted.
Right. What? I got to take more money. What? Oh my goodness. But now it's about understanding how to connect with them.
Yeah.
How to do everything else. And that's what we're saying is in our industry, we don't have that. We have so many young people in our industry who've never sold, never seen rates over 3%.
3%.
Yeah. And so
they're freaking out.
Yes. Yeah. And so I think it's important for us to give back, us older people like yourself.
Yeah, I know.
I'm just kidding. But that's something that I want to do and build for our industry, because I think it's important for people to understand that.
Yeah.
And that's the sales, your side, real estate, my side, the title, everything that people need to do more in actual selling. And that's educating people and understanding how to
education and relationships.
Yeah, it's connecting.
Everybody is your friend in this business. Everybody's your friend. I think this is my 3rd time around in watching where we've gone from order taker to, okay, now you're really working. Not that we weren't working before, because once you got the transaction, you still had all the other stuff that you had to take care of. But now you have to really facilitate, and knowledge is king. You have to have the knowledge of everything out there available to either help your buyer or help your seller.
Right.
So,
and you need to niche down.
Yeah.
Niche down to who you help.
Right.
Because you can't be niches. They used to say riches are in the niches. Well, the more you're niche and whatever you do, the more you'll get that sent to you.
Right.
I think you can be jack of all trades, but it just doesn't work for everybody. You know what I mean? It's
exactly.
For myself as a broker, I never have to say no, but that doesn't mean I want to do certain loan programs that's going to take 3 times as long and the headache and piss off everybody in the transaction.
Right.
So the person get a home, or I could work with that person for the next 3 to 6
and
months.
give them a loan program that actually is easier to do and more beneficial to them.
And the seller and the buyer's agent and everybody in the transaction. That's the most important thing. Let's make it better for everybody.
Yeah.
Don't just try to get people in the home. Let's make sure they get into it and they stay in it.
Yeah.
We don't need any foreclosures just because we didn't do our job well.
Right.
All right,
I agree.
We've been doing this for 25 minutes. So
yeah, I know.
Surprised we've had some people come and go, but
quite a few, it looks like.
Yep. And so that's what I'm going to be working on. And then my book comes out first of the year.
Good.
Did you ever read that on your vacation?
I read portions of it. It's, you know what? It's so hard to do when you're taking care of little grandkids. Oh, today we're babysitting the boys, the twins.
Are you really?
Yeah.
Yeah. No, what you say is, okay, it's time to read a story. All right. This is how you hold.
I should have read them. They would have gone to sleep right away. Or they would have ripped the phone out of my hand and tried to get it onto something that they like to.
Okay, because your credit score is so important to you.
Yeah.
This is what we need to know. Credit? I'm just kidding.
2 3/4 years old. You know what, Dad? What I realized today is that we need to fix our credit.
Well, by the way, I don't know if you know this, Florida, they passed the Governor DeSantis wrote in that all schools have to, in order to graduate high school, you have to take a literacy class for financial, and you have to understand credit score and other stuff. That's important. We need to get that back to everywhere. Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, I know why. I know what happened. I remember what happened, but God, that would be so great if kids knew how to do finances right out of high school.
Yeah. I mean, I remember when they had women take home ec. That was so amazing. I'm just kidding.
A lot of guys were in home ec too, because there were some pretty girls in there.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's all right, guys.
Guys went in cheerleading. Anyway.
I won't say anything.
All right, move on. Everybody make it a great day. We'll talk to you on Wednesday. Thanks for being here. We really appreciate you.
Great Monday,
yes.
2023.
That's right. Get out there, buy a house. If you need help, you know where to find it. We're right here.
Yep.
All right. Make it a great day.
Make it a great day. Bye.